So exercise 103 memo. The first thing that it starts off by showing is it shows us what the text file looks like, and it gives us an example data set. It says that there is a food class which will have a name, string, the nutrition, and the bags int array size 500. Now, to explain what this is, oats has a nutritional value of 5, and these bags here are the bags for those oats. So what could have been betterly shown is if I actually drew a picture of oats 5, and then I said these are all the bags. I draw like a nice pretty picture of it, so you can actually see that one category of products we keep is oats, and we have a bag of 100 grams, a bag of 200 grams, a bag of 150 grams. Each of these are separate bags of oats. We then have a bacon food type, or I think it's food jar, food, and then we have each of these 100 gram bag of bacon, a 100 gram bag of bacon, a 150 gram of bacon. Alright, so on our food class, the food is going to have the name of the food, the nutritional value, and an array of all of the bags there, and the num bags is going to keep track of that. So the first thing it says, create a class called food for 1 mark. So we go to our thing, right click, new Java class, it's going to be called food. We put it in the package. I'm going to make a package called pacman because I can. Alright, then inside my class, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see it on the video. And inside my class, I need a name of a string that is private because it's got a negative sign in front of it. Remember, the negative sign in front of it shows what access modifier is. So private, and it is a string data type, and we're going to call it name, right? I don't like calling things name, but so be it, I obviously did. And the next one is nutrition. So private int nutrition, and the next one is an array of integers. Now, remember the first array I went over you guys was of an object. In this case, it's not an array of an object, it's an array of a data type. So you say data type square brackets represents the fact that you're declaring an array. Do you guys get that? Meaning that there's more than one position in this one. There's as many as I specify positions that can be referred to. And this is called bags. And here is the only place you refer to the size of the array you want to create. So in this case, we create an array of size 500. My bad about that. So we create an array of size 500 of that can store bags. Now, we're obviously not going to have 500 bags of every single product. So we create a counter. And remember, we called this counter, originally we called it Rico in the example we did, right?
Now we're doing num bags.
So now we're doing num bags because num bags makes more sense. But in the example where we were looking through the class, Rico was the guy, the variable who was then keeping track of each position in the array. Do you guys get that? Where we were at. Right now, we're at 0. So technically you could even initialize it at 0 here because nothing has been put in there. But we'll get into that later. Now, the next question, it says, add the field to the class diagram. We've done that. Write code add bags that would receive the weight of a bag and add it into the array and increment num bags. So if we want to create a method that would add it into the array, we literally go public because it didn't specify. So generally, if it's not specified, we make it public. And we're going to say add void because it doesn't return anything. It does an action. It adds the bag to the array. It doesn't return anything. And we're going to call it add bag, and it will receive through the actual weight of the bag. So if you look here, if we go down here, it says there, write code called add bag, so called add bag, that will receive the weight of the bag and add it to the array. Now that's an action word. They talk about action words. This is add. It is doing something. It's not returning anything. So because it's a do method is void. So it's called add bag and it receives the weight. We then want to add this weight to the array. Now, the first time this runs, num bags should be 0. So if we say is equal to weight, it's going to add it to position 0. The next time we run this, we'll increment num bags. So num bags plus plus. So the first time we run it, if we go and we open up Excel to do our example of our array, I always like to use Excel as an example because it makes it a bit clearer to see. If this is our array here, and we call this array bags. So if I create an array called bags, small b. I learned to type one day. And then you got position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you guys get that?
Pretty much.
Now, and this would go up to 500. I'm not going to make it go up to 500. Now, when you do this, num bags starts off by pointing here. And then the moment you add a weight there, so if I add 100 grams, so if I send 100 grams through as the parameter, as the weight, then num bags would increment and point to the next position, and then 150 grams would go into here, and then it would point to the next position. So num bags just literally points towards the next position in the array that it's going to go to. Do you guys get that? So let's say if I add another bag, 300, and then num bags would go down to the next one. Do you guys get that? Now, if I just go back to here, that has been done now. That is finished. That's all that add bag is required, and that's the marks for that there. The next statement asks there, it says, write code for the parameterized constructor. This method should receive the name nut and a string containing the weight of all bags separated by a new line. This method should initialize the fields as follows. Num bags field should be initialized to 0. So I know, firstly, what am I receiving in my constructor? It says to me in my constructor I'm receiving name and nut, those two. So we know we're receiving those two, but it also tells me I'm also receiving a string of the bags. So I'm receiving a string which is going to contain the bags in there. And as I said to you previously, if you take a look at this here, this is what it looks like. The string containing bags is going to literally look like the following. It's going to have, I'm going to put inverted commas to show that it's a string. It's going to have 100, it's then going to have an enter. It's then going to have a 200, it's then going to have an enter. It's then going to have a 150, it's then going to have an enter, and so forth. That's what the string is going to look like there. And our job is to separate that string. But all of it's being received is a parameter through there. And inside this method, I'm going to separate it out into being individual bags so we can deal with the bags separately. And store them as the correct data type, which is int. Do you guys follow? So we are taking this text that is in there, and we're going to separate it out into being what we want. So that is what the question asks. And remember, you answer the question as it is asked. It says there, this method should receive, so going back here, the question, and I'll zoom in so you guys can really see it. It says there, this method would receive a name and a nut. So I've made it receive the name and the nut. I've then gone in and said, and a string containing the weight of all bags. String containing weight of all bags. If you want to, I'll call it weight bags. Just so it can be more of a logical sort of feeling there. It then says to me, it says initialize num bags to 0. So it's told me, okay, I should initialize my num bags method to 0. So I'm then going to go, and I'm going to say num bags is equal to 0, meaning that I'm literally saying right now, if I look at my array, num bags is equal to 0, meaning that it's pointing to the first position in the array, so that's where I'm going to be doing. Okay, now, so you guys get that? It then says to me, the name and nut fields should be initialized using the values. So, name and nut fields initialized using the variables. Sweet. It then tells me, separate the bag values into individual weights, and then send it to the add bag method. Now our scanner, I told you guys that I would show you how to do this without the use of a scanner. Do you want me to start off by doing that and then show you how to do it with the scanner, or do you just want me to rather... Okay, I'll do both. The scanner is obviously the easiest, and that's the way you guys are allowed to use. Now you'll notice, even with sorting an array and those kind of things, you guys have to keep to first principles, but in an exam you are allowed to use a scanner. But so you don't have to do this. But public void that's actually a good point. I'm not sure how to. This is going to be quite tricky. No, scan is easy. Separating it individually is hard. Okay, I'm going to pause the video while I'm coding this because quite frankly you don't need to know this, but I'm interested for you guys to watch this. And I'll go over it afterwards. Here is the logic of a scanner, the fact that it would loop through the array and look for each individual character. While it's not equal to a \n or an enter, whatever character would be displaying. As I say, I'm not sure if I could compare to that character, but then it would add it to a normal, and then when it does equal to the comparator, it will then send it through to what it needs to send to. We don't do it this way. Do you want me to leave this here and comment it out, or would you rather me just delete this? Okay, so I'm going to comment it out because this is not the way you guys are going to do it. All you guys need to do is go and say, okay, I also don't need that temp over there, so let me comment it out before the temp. Otherwise, I've got unneeded code. All you're going to do is you're going to say scanner, and you're going to use the java.util scanner. So java.util scanner. So scanner sc bags. So I'm scanning through the bags is equal to new scanner, and you're going to send through the string that you want. So you're going to go down to where it says string source, and we're going to send through the weight bags, semicolon. We are then just going to say while control space bar it dot has next while sc bags. I just typed in while and I pressed control space bar, it gave me the options. I then say add bags sc bags dot next int. That's all you guys need to do. That previous method I was showing you guys was what the scanner does, but this does it. It will literally, the scan bags dot next int will loop until it will return the integer until it gets to hash. It converts it into an integer. Whatever it's reading through, it will convert until it makes sure it's an integer and then return you the integer. Do you guys get that? If for example, I had a character in there, it would actually throw back an error because there was a character, it wouldn't understand it. But this would work. So what I've done, what was this, is this. Do you guys kind of follow? Do I need to go through that logic a bit more, if you guys kind of understand that? No answers. I've always analyzed a scanner as being I call it Bob, but you see the blinking cursor here. Think of the scanner being a cursor in the document. It will carry on until it gets to the delimiter. In this case, the delimiter is an enter, so it'll continue. So let me just delete these things here. Okay, so it'll continue. When it gets to an enter, it'll go, okay, cool. I'll return what was before me. So I'll return that. It's then busy chilling. The bob or the cursor is busy chilling down there. And then, okay, it loops again. So I'll do this again. Return that. Okay, bob is here. Do it again. Return that. So literally, it's like having a cursor in a text, in a file. It literally just continues down and returns what's further and further. So as you loop through it, it just returns the next one, the next one, the next one, in that. Does that kind of help with the analogy? But
where do you say in the code, where do you say the delimiter, where do you put the delimiter?
Right now we haven't specified the delimiter because the scanner has a default delimiters of enters and tabs. So default delimiter of enters, sorry, new line character is a proper term for that, and tabs. Those are the default delimiters. Sure. If you wanted to specify the delimiter, but now you've got to realize, then that takes away the current delimiter. Well, actually, it might still be there. I would have to find that out. I don't know. You could say use delimiter, and then you could specify the string or pattern you would want to be as a delimiter.
Okay, but if you don't put anything, it's just a
tab or a new line. Okay. Now the next thing that we've got there is you'll see that this would be that question. So that question's answered, and this was the tricky question that you guys are getting a little bit stuck up on. But that is literally what was expected there, as you separate it into those new lines. It then says add setters and getters for all fields. So that's easy enough. Alt insert setters and getters for all fields. Sweet. Now you'll notice there that I did a set for all fields directly. So you'll see there that it also has got get the array of bags, set an array of bags, so forth. But that's what I asked, so just do it. It then said create a toString that would return the contents of all fields in the string separated by a new line character. Now if I left this the way it was, I actually just want to show you this. If I go alt, oops, that's insert, sorry. If I go alt insert and I go toString and I generate it, sweet. Okay. Now, just for argument's sake, so we can actually see what's going on right now to see if it's working, I'm going to create my GUI just so that we can test it so long. So you guys aren't just seeing this as being theory, it's actually something practical we can put in. I'm going to quickly design my GUI. So a quick way to design GUI is just to create a border layout, put a panel in the bottom, put a text area at the top. This is the quick way to design a silly little GUI. Text area at the top. In the button area, just add button. We'll change what content's in here. This one I'll just say cool. And now inside the source, I'm going to just do a quick field called food test semicolon. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm then going to say test is equal to new food. I'm going to send through, okay, the name of the food. I'm going to send bacon through. Bacon. I'm going to then send through, this is just literally so I can test it. I'm going to send through a nutritional value of 100. I'm going to send the bags 100 backslash n 200 backslash n 500. Now, I don't like this because I'd rather be reading from a text file, but let's just see if this works. This might not work because of, again, what I told you in a text file, the backslash n isn't always the same field as that. Anyway, let's take a look at this. I'm then going to display it, so I would have named my text area here, change variable name txt display. If I then go to my food, sorry, my GUI design, my source code for my design, I can then go txt display dot set text to be test dot toString. Now if I ran this, so literally all I'm doing here is I'm creating a test food type of bacon with 100, 200, and 500 being sent through to it. And then I'm just going test.toString. Now if you notice in my food, the toString I left by just saying name, nutrition, bags, and num bags. So that's all I've done in here. If I run this now, play here, we run this, you should see what will display as an error. No, I'm just okay, there we go. Yeah, it did do what I expected. It says the following. It says there, and I'm sorry that I can't really zoom in on this, but for the video, but it says there, name is equal to bacon, nuts is equal to 100, but then bags, it says there, open square brackets at 384A0AE6, num bags is equal to 4. Now what on earth? The default toString of an array is the memory location where that array starts at. So it doesn't call a toString of the integer, it doesn't return an integer, it returns the memory location. So we can't just say return the array. You've got to actually put that array individual elements into a representation you want. Do you guys get that? So what I'll do then is I'll actually in my GUI have to actually sit there and change my toString, sorry, my food, change my toString to go string sbags, which is the string of bags, to be equal to blank. Loop through my number of bags. So to loop through my array, I loop up until num bags. Why num bags? Why not bags.length? Why wouldn't I do that? Okay, let's do that. I'm going to do bags.length, and I'm going to say sbags plus equals bags position r plus backslash n. What do you think that's going to do? Error. No, it won't be an error, but what will it do? Bags.length. What is the length of bags currently?
3.
No. What did you say? 500. The length of the bags is 500. So it's going to return 500 bags. If I press play on this now, it probably will throw an error. Oh, hello. It's not doing it properly anyway. You know what? Guess what I did? I said here I did do that, but then over here I didn't display that. I displayed, I didn't update what I'm actually displaying. So now if I run that, you'll see there what it will display is 0.0000000 500 times. Only the first few will have bags. Did you check that? So where should I loop up to?
Num bags.
Num bags. So here it's not bags to length. You loop up until num bags, because num bags keeps track of which position you're in. So if you take a look at this array, that's not the array. You look at this array, nums bags would keep track of how many. So if I've got the 100, 200 and 500 or whatever it is, num bags will be the position where the next position is. So we'll loop up until num bags. Okay, if I go back here, I get into this here, it loops up until num bags. We'll loop through to here. I am then going to have, so this is working now. Do you guys get that? So our toString does what it asks us to. Create a method called sort, which will receive a Boolean value and sort the bag in ascending if the Boolean is true, else descending if it is false. I actually asked this in the question 103.